Okay, you're back with us. We're still talking to Toti Casino, who is a part of the Philippine Computer Society. This is an update on electoral fraud. So, can the president take the lead? You know, he's not running in the next election. This is like his legacy. He can be a statesman. He can clean up the entire mess of the computer elected officials.
He must do so under the national security cluster. Because you're talking here of cybersecurity already, all right? And I think that is within the purview of the national security cluster. Now, if he gathers, let's say, the Department of ICT, together with the National Security Agency or the National Security Council, and then get in DOST, Department of Science and Technology, and then explain how does the digital signature work? How does it operate? How secure is that? Does the country have that kind of facility? Can we do this? Can we allow this? Then they say this is a matter of national security interest. Then it goes higher. Then the Commission on Election has no other recourse but to follow the law. That would be the proper channel. If I were the president, then I would bring it to that matter, so that it would save face in him that he's not meddling with electoral affairs.
Yes, and the best part is because the current president, of course, has an overwhelming majority. You know, it will not in any way taint his victory because, you know, his lead is so huge. So, you know, he's in the best position to finally, you know, push the country in the right direction.
But what we're trying to do is trying to protect the president against the black propaganda of those opposition and saying that the president is now meddling with electoral affairs. But if he calls in council the national security cluster, then even the Department of National Defense to be present. Anything not involving COMELEC, because COMELEC is a constitutional body separate from the executive branch. That way they can address that issue and says, is there tampering here? Is there hacking in this regard? Can data manipulation happen without this digital signature as far as the Republic Act 8792 is concerned or the e-commerce law is concerned?
And then they can even do it on executive session.
Yes.
They can do it on executive session and then based on the executive session come out with these certain proposals for COMELEC to
comply with. And to comply with, right? Otherwise, they'll be subject to the Supreme Court for not following the law. That is precisely what we in the Philippine Computer Society have been clamoring all over since 2009.
We just solved the problem.
Just solved the problem.
Just solved the problem.
Just now.
I just hope the president will do it. I mean, that's his legacy. That will be his legacy in the Duterte administration. Diba?
Well, I hope the president would listen. And I hope the president would have the attention on this and put this as high priority. Because, come on, hacking is happening worldwide.
Okay.
Let's not forget, recently there was this Cambridge Analytica.
Okay.
Remember that?
Yes.
The tampering on Facebook. And then accusing the U.S., accusing Russia that they have mined into the Facebook accounts. I mean, this is going already global perspective. And we are not anywhere near, I mean, we are not far from that. In fact, we are not close to that issue. And we should address this issue head on as a matter of security. And we're talking here in the cyberspace, anybody's vulnerable for attacks. Anybody's vulnerable for changes. And in fact, Yahoo, with its 1 billion subscribers that has been breached, that makes that COMELEC nothing. It makes it a small issue. But right now, the National Privacy Commission has already filed a case against COMELEC under the chairmanship of then Andy Bautista on the grounds of data privacy. Whereas he says he's gone. He's gone out over to the U.S. and there's got to be another case that has to be followed through.
Toti, I'll ask this of you. Are we making any inroads? I mean, you and I, we've been at this for quite a time. I mean, are we moving forward or every time we come up with a good idea, a good suggestion, a good question, COMELEC simply gives us another explanation?
Okay, our problem here, media is a fourth estate. We recognize that. Mainstream media, in the likes of, I wouldn't want to mention their names in this program of yours, are not even covering this topic.
Why?
For obvious reasons.
Because?
They're probably in the payroll of those who wants to corrupt the country. Of those, because
or their stockholders are themselves politicians.
Correct, possibly, and then they're being sponsored or so, and then let obvious be the obvious, and why not take up an issue such as this be top priority as a subject matter? They're not. And they're taking up whatever they want to talk about, fancy this, fancy that, which is a low level and making our viewing public more dumber and not more intelligent, and then come up with stupid programs, unlike this program of yours. And that
we're being distracted, no?
Exactly. And that is one way to influence the majority. But lo and behold, thanks to social media, the public is now not being fooled. And now they can listen to what's the truth about all these issues. And thanks to social media, word spreads faster than what you can see on mainstream media. And people are becoming more aware.
I'm again reminded, looking back, we seem to be looking back all the time. I remember Manuling Morato said, even PCSO can undertake actually the elections for cheaper price.
Right.
Diba?
Right. It was with their machines.
Yeah, with their machines, no? Yeah. And then we didn't do it.
Well, okay, on a technical standpoint, well, that is plausible.
Yeah.
To tweak the program would be very difficult.
Okay.
Because you're going to change the entire setup.
Yeah.
And even though you can use that because it's a secured system, et cetera, the lottery machines, it has reached its level of maturity.
Okay.
So as a practicing, I wouldn't even touch that.
Touch it, yes.
Because mahirap na. When you dabble with that thing, things can go wrong, and then you have to retweak it again, and things might. When it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
Right. So leave it as be. But the idea, the concept there is, if they can run a lottery system that's online, real time, on the dot, the quality assurance, which whoever created that behind it, were really professionals. Here, you have a vendor, a foreigner for that matter, who has gone through done this thing for 3 times, and they're still committing the same error, and came up with the same lame excuse and saying this and that, fooling the public.
They're constantly celebrating, actually.
Exactly. And because it's a multi-billion peso.
We're not the only country they're successful with, no?
They're never very successful, I don't recall.
I mean, other countries, I'm sure they applied the Smartmatic.
Yeah.
And they've been successful also.
Well,
fraudulent elections.
There are some protests filed against the Smartmatic also in the other countries. If only we can gather those information.
But they're more successful here in the Philippines.
In terms of frauds, definitely.
yes, that's what I'm saying. Yes.
In terms of the fraud, they'll be successful in fooling the public.
And the politicians are very worried about confronting them, no? Because
the politicians
self-inflicted wound.
No. The problem here is the catch-22.
Okay.
The very beneficiaries of the fraud are themselves sitting in the Senate and Congress.
Self-inflicted wound, as I said.
Okay, so how can you have justice? How can you have transparency? How can you have accountability when they themselves bankrolled on these machines that can be easily tampered with and manipulated to their favor?
And Smartmatic is in bed with Comelec, or Comelec is in bed with Smartmatic.
In both instances, yes, they are for obvious reasons, because it's a money-making business. It's a good money-making enterprise every 3 years.
Who's earning more, Comelec? In your own analysis, just guessing, Comelec or Smartmatic?
Smartmatic is making more money.
Making more money.
Making more money.
So the agency here is Comelec.
Yes. They're the salesman. In fact, let's put it in. Let's put the right perspective. PCOS or the VCM is not a proprietary product of Smartmatic.
Okay.
It is owned by Dominion Voting Systems based in Canada.
Okay.
What Smartmatic has a proprietary product is a machine called DRE, or Direct Recording Encoding Machine, which is a touch screen.
Okay.
All right? And that means they are just a reseller.
Yes.
They're just a distributor.
Yes.
So what makes them an authority on the subject matter? And they just screwed up the entire system and then make us look like everything is A-okay. That's why the case of what's his name, Vice President Marcos is being delayed.
Yes.
Simply because once that is proven that there's inaccuracy in the count, that already proves that Smartmatic is not a reliable technology.
And we can then call these people from Canada to a Senate hearing or nothing?
Of course.
And we're not doing it either.
Well, they have to be invited. They have to be.
Yeah, precisely. Yes.
Right. By which court?
The Senate, perhaps, for public hearing under Senator Soto can do that, hopefully.
Probably.
Yeah, we can try.
Yeah, we can try. Sure.
We can try. We can
not?
download whatever is in their heads and tell us what their own observations
Tell us the truth, right?
Yeah,
right?
Yes.
Separately from Smartmatic.
Yeah, separate. Yes.
Yes. And take into discussion the case they filed in the Delaware County, wherein, ironically, Smartmatic sued Dominion for breach of contract.
Okay.
When Dominion countered back and said, "What do you mean it is our fault? You breached our contract because there was already an agreement that any changes that you do in our product, you must inform us."
Yes.
Dominion.
Yes.
Smartmatic never did.
So are they filing charges against each other now?
It is Smartmatic that's suing.
Yeah, but
Dominion.
Is
Now
Dominion
Dominion came back. No. The case is filed by Smartmatic versus Dominion. Dominion came out with a rebuttal. It is on a standstill because the court can say now, okay, Now, how do you respond to that? Smartmatic could not respond.
Why didn't Dominion file the case in the first place?
No, it wasn't Dominion. It was Smartmatic.
I understand that, but why didn't Dominion, seeing that there was a breach in the in the terms, why didn't they file the case ahead? They didn't know about it.
It's not that. It's not that they don't know about it. It's that they have no cause to file a case against Smartmatic.
Okay.
It was a wrong move actually on the legal part of Smartmatic suing Dominion because now the truth was already blurted out thanks to that case. But for Dominion to file suit against Smartmatic, there is no ground, there is no cause. Because the one that we contracted by the Philippine government was not Dominion, it was Smartmatic.
What are our efforts now? What is our hope? I mean, where are we? We are neither here nor there. We seem to be back to what?
Well,
2016, 2010?
Let's put it this way. The more we do, the more the expose, the more the public gets to be aware, and then the more of these shenanigans that's being done by both Smartmatic and COMELEC to the Joint Congressional Oversight Committee, then probably we will come to the resolve that let's junk Smartmatic once and for all, and then sue them for the crime that they've done way back even in 2010, again in 2013, and now in 2016, and I doubt, or I hope not in 2019, and then go back to manual, all right, and then pursue the transmission electronically because that is still compliant to the law. Under the law, it need not automate from the voting counting.
Yes.
It's just the operant word is appropriate technology. The OMR is no longer appropriate. In fact, in the testimony of Attorney Glenn Chong, he said that there is this ballot image that has a square.
Squares on the side,
and then the other one does not have.
Yes.
I mean, like when you take a selfie.
Yes.
Do you know when you take a selfie, there's those squares that appear?
Yes.
Right, to you can tag it.
Yes.
Does it appear on the printout?
No,
no, it doesn't.
It doesn't, yes.
So that is the function of that square.
Okay.
But how come it gets printed out?
Okay.
Then there's something erroneous about that program, which shows that, hey, this is where you count. This is not no. It's already a glaring evidence that the program is different. It's the different source code that they showed to the public a few months before, and now that they run another source code. Would that be the same program that they use? Because apparently during the source code review, those who attended that source code review said they did not see that happen.
If this was the U.S., the FBI would have raided their offices, gotten all the evidence,
and then
done forensics.
Exactly. And then sue them and then put them to jail.
How come we're not doing it? The NBA is not doing it, or they're not doing their jobs.
It's not that they're doing their job. I mean, let's put spade word. The thing is, there's got to be a case filed, and then that case has been filed. Now, they have to subpoena the evidence. Once they have subpoenaed the evidence, then the ones holding the evidence in custody must surrender it for digital forensics.
Okay, we're going to pause for a few reminders, and I'll just pursue that point. Why doesn't NBI try to cultivate a witness, a phantom witness that will blurt this out and open the can of worms for the public to see, and then, the FBI they have a mole inside the Smartmatic when we return.